Well, I think it's moving forward in the right direction in Minnesota with the police department. We don't want no more people getting killed out there in Minnesota, regardless of what side you're on or the party. But this is a good one here. Holman's draw down with the Minnesota St. Paul's Police Department president, union president, is speaking up. About time we started getting other figures that has a voice in the situation that can speak up, because we don't want no one more deaths of citizens. So let's find out what's going on in Minnesota.
St. Paul Police Federation President Mark Ross joins me now. Thanks for being with us here today. I'd love to start with this, Mark. What is the morale, what is the attitude, and what are the opinions of local police in St. Paul, and if you can, also speak to those in Minneapolis?
Thanks for having me, Will. I'm glad to be here. Morale, it's challenging right now. I mean, we are in really, at the local level, we've been put in an untenable position. And from the moment this all began, it kicked off in St. Paul back towards the end of November, and we were involved. It got called to a house where there's some ICE action going on. It lasted a few hours. We had to get involved in crowd control and use some chemical munitions to get out of there to keep people safe. And the rhetoric has just been nonstop since then. And it's been challenging for the cops, because cities like St. Paul and Minneapolis have separation ordinances, and they really prevent the local law enforcement administrators from cooperating and communicating with ICE or Homeland Security's leadership. And it makes things really challenging for us. And the rhetoric's been unbelievable.
Set aside the separation ordinance and set aside the political leadership. I'm really curious. What do local police want? If I were interviewing a Minneapolis or a St. Paul police officer, do they want to cooperate with ICE?
I would say largely yes. We want to cooperate to the degree that it makes sense for us. Which, generally speaking, is we don't take federal law enforcement action. It's not in our jurisdiction. But when it does come to crowd control, when it comes to keeping vehicles out of scenes, and those things start to impact public safety in the communities that we work in, that's where our specialty lies, and we've been prevented from doing that. So I think that the average cop in the Twin Cities thinks that maybe we should have been allowed to coordinate a little bit with some of the crowd control aspects of this, because we had a lot of tricks.
If I understand, Mark, what you're saying, that local police don't want to be enforcing immigration law. And from what I hear from Tom Homan and other federal police officers, including ICE, they don't want local police enforcing immigration law. What they would like is twofold. One, honor ICE detainers, turn over criminals from county and city jails over to ICE. And two, do exactly what you're just saying. Show up and protect ICE when there is a problem with a hostile crowd, like in the situation with Alex Preddy. I would have to think if local police were present, holding back a perimeter while law enforcement operation is taking place, we would never have had the situation we had with Alex Preddy. And so what I'm hearing from you is those are two things that actually, when it comes to St. Paul police, they would love to help with ICE.
It's a true story, and I think that's opinion of many. Tragically, there's 2 deaths in our community now, and now we're at a point. And think about this: most reasonable people will tell you, of course, these jails should cooperate with ICE and these detainers, and when they have people in their jails, to release them to ICE. Why would we let them back out in the community? Not only have they committed crimes in our community, but they're also in our country illegally. I mean, that just makes sense for just about any reasonable person. Unfortunately, it's all politics, and you can't find a group of more apolitical people than cops. We have to go out there and do our jobs regardless of any politics. And so, yeah, it's been deeply frustrating, and it's so sad that it has come to this point where now you see the cooperation. I think A.G. Ellison today communicated with.
I had to stop that right there. To really hit on that point. You know, it is very sad. It is very politicized that we had to have social media commentaries like me, other ones out here that's trying to show, and I'm putting this out because I really want people to see that the police departments really want to help with the law enforcement side, not the political side of the issue of the aisle, but the law enforcement. Quite naturally, you don't want criminals in there. You know, people that commit crimes. He just said, the president said, we want them out. We would love to work with the ICE to get the criminals out, the criminal element out. But with all the political sour affair, it's affecting the effects of what they can do as law enforcement officers, and then to sit back and watch all this chaos go on across the nation, and they're frustrated. The federal union, we saw them in the president of the union police department in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We saw it here, and in Minnesota. It's definitely in many other states and cities, especially even in blue cities, like these are blue cities. That one we saw in Chicago at a period of time, people speaking up outside the county in the state of Illinois. There's a lot of chiefs of police that really want to help, not dealing with the political side of it, the aisle, but actually deal with the criminal element, get them out. And this is a fast track to deal with this element that we should not be dealing with it from the beginning, but that's another political side. But you hear it out of Mark Ross' own mouth. They're telling you he wants to work, and then people are forcing certain clauses and certain agendas to help them get these people out because of all the politics. He's telling you out of his own mouth. It's so much politics, and the media is also playing part of that politics too, on both sides of the aisle. So we need to get out of that. I want you guys to hear that the police really want to help ICE with the criminal element. It's not about ICE itself. It's about immigration, getting people that's felons that's in our system that shouldn't even be here out of the country, and making our cities and states and counties safe. And that's what the police side it seemed to be what he's saying they're focused on. He said detainees with felonies, criminals that's not from, that they're not basically citizens. They're the ones that ICE is looking for. Why not support ICE in that? That only aspect, not DACA, not other things. He didn't say nothing about that. He's talking about strictly people that felonious people that committed crimes that should be out. Why shouldn't they be the sport? And they're speaking up now. So I'll put this out so you guys can hear outside of local media, outside of creators that also lean certain ways. It's an open platform. I just want you to hear other factors, other leadership that maybe not on the federal level, but on the state level that has a voice and it can speak from their perspective. And that's why this clip is coming out. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear from you. Let's continue. What do you think, guys? What do you think?
The borders are homing, that jails, we're now going to start honoring these detainers and working with ICE on this stuff. I think there probably will be more communication now with the federal leadership and local leaders. And again, at the highest political levels, the rhetoric here has been unbelievable. For Governor Walz to say things like, we've never been at war with the federal government before, it's just reprehensible.
Okay, good. That would be my last follow-up, because you've led us down this path a couple of times in addressing the rhetoric. I think you can. I think your fingers have it on the pulse of the police in St. Paul. I won't ask you to speak more largely to the police across the state. What do they think, St. Paul police officers, of their political leadership?
I think probably we're largely disappointed in how things have gone. I think it could have gone much better from the start. And again, we've been in the middle of this, and we just want to go out and do our jobs in the community. And we want to keep members of the community safe, and we want to arrest bad guys that are doing bad things in our community. At the same time, that means supporting our brothers and sisters in law enforcement. The men and women of ICE and HSI and Border Security are all their husbands, their fathers, they're good people. They want to go out there and protect our country. And it's just been, we're really frustrated, and I don't think the average cop is too impressed with political leadership locally and at the state level.
All right. Mark Ross, thanks for bringing that perspective to us here today.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Will.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
Fight.
It's going down.
From the start.
It's going down. It's like this guy came and told a great question, and they're not too happy with the leadership, the governor Walz of Minnesota, because of the things that the political rhetoric he's speaking now. It's like they're like, no, that's not all the way accurate, and they're disappointed because he represents the whole state of Minnesota and he represents them. And it's like you're saying things that the average person knows to be counterproductive to the cause, but it appears to be working for you in your mind, and where no one's listening and no one's hearing that rhetoric anymore, because we see right through it, especially at this stage of what's happening in the political world and also in the state, federal world, as far as what's happening out there in the communities. We're seeing all this now. The American people see it. It's not to be fooled anymore. So why do you keep spewing this type of rhetoric, which is not true? So when you said, you talked about the this is the first time, it never happened in Minnesota before, and with the federal government stuff, federal things, like there has been federal situation that happened in the state of Minnesota before. And so he was like, that is not totally true. That's not totally accurate. That's rhetoric. And it's okay, but it makes the state look bad. And so he's probably said disappointed in that. And he said, what do you think about how as the anchor said, how do the police officers feel about what the governor's saying? And they're disappointed. They're disappointed overall. That's sad, but there has to be some adjustment. The citizens and the United States citizens, when I talk to some of them out here in Washington, they're happy they should get another governor, that he's not becoming governor again, because he's been revealed to spew rhetoric sometimes that's not totally accurate, and that's good. And you're hearing other members, like this is Mark Ross of the St. Paul Police Federal President, and speaking on what's happening in Minnesota and how the officers feel and how he's feeling and how the officers feeling. And I hope there's a change in Minnesota. I hope there's a change. There's going to be a change. There is change on the horizon as far as the governor's going to be out. He's not going for a re-election, and so they'll have a new governor in there. And I hope there'll be some readjustments, some reevaluations. And I hope they're allowed to help ICE as far as the criminal side of the aisle working. And it'll be a great thing to get these criminal elements out of the country that don't belong here. So yeah, they should work with that section of it. Yes, I agree. So I'm glad someone's standing up. I'm glad you guys got their feet here in Minnesota. Not all the media rhetoric and all the other people, the governor, and like taking over the whole space. You're hearing other powerful people in the state that's not maybe at the governor's level, but have a voice and very professional, respectful, and articulate people with intellect that can tell you what's on the ground that's happening and have a voice. So I'm glad that's happening right now. So without further ado, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. This is a good clip here talking about what's happening in Minnesota, and we get a better, accurate picture of what's going on in Minnesota. What is your opinion? You agree with the union president, Minnesota Police Union president, or Mark Ross, or you don't agree with what he was saying in this clip? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. I agree with what he was saying. They should help ICE. They should help get these criminal elements out the country. So I agree with the union president is stating right here. What is your opinion?
To impress with political leadership locally and at the state level.